I am John Tickles, and welcome to Remote RPGs. You may be wondering why my voice is like this. It isn't because I suddenly decided I wanted to be Stephen Hawking for the day. I needed a bland voice to go with the monotonous RPG I'm reviewing today. A game released by the arcade giant Taito in 1993, Lufia and the Fortress of Doom for the Super Nintendo. Did you ever really want to like a game, but you never could? That's my relationship with the first Lufia. I've heard such good things about the sequel that I was really excited to start the series, but what this game ends up being is the most average RPG I have yet to play. The story is lackluster, the characters are stuck, and the battle system leaves much to be desired. Now I don't like doing angry reviews, and I'm sure I've pissed off any fans of this game already, but hear me out, and let me explain why. This isn't a terrible game, but just one that is not worth your time. First, let's start off with the cover of the game. Okay, I know the art looks pretty good, but pay attention to the features that are supposed to make this game sound awesome. Battle and opening story. Really? That's your first point? The most important reason people should buy the game is because you play about characters you barely know or care about for the first 5 minutes. That's not a good start. A vast new RPG world? Are you kidding me? What else do I expect when playing an RPG? An old world? Would I ever boot up a new RPG and expect that they reuse the world from Wild Arms? Of course not. That is not a noteworthy feature. And finally includes battery backup system, so it can save your game. Bitch please. Legend of Zelda included saves in 1986. You can't say that's a noteworthy feature for an RPG released 7 years later. Well, that's not the best start, so let's go into the narrative of the game. The most important element, right? The game starts with 4 heroes defeating a group of evil beings called the Sinistrals. After the battle, 2 characters who we know nothing about sacrifice themselves to save their friends, and I don't know how the game really expects us to give a shit about characters we've had like 5 minutes to get attached to. If Eris died 5 minutes into Final Fantasy VII, would anyone care? A lot of crazy Final Fantasy VII fanboys out there cried like PETA at Michael Vick's house because they had time to get attached to the character. Seriously, it made grown men weep like pansies.
Take me instead! Oh no!
Anyway, this introduction is apparently the ending to Lufia 2, so this game spoiled something awesome for me already. Fantastic. Anyway, years later, you play as the hero, who's the descendant of the great hero you played as, and is bland as cardboard. Seriously. As a redhead, he has no soul, but this is almost ridiculous. The other main character is the titular Lufia, the childhood friend and love interest, with blue hair. Anyway, you have to go on a quest to rid the world of the resurrected Sinistrals, with a band of 4 heroes that reflect the 4 legendary heroes. Now you may have noticed that this game rips off many elements from a very good game released a year before, Lunar for the Sega CD, but I can assure you that this game is wildly inferior in many more ways. Aside from being a bland and predictable story, even for 1993. The worst part of the narrative was the pacing. The game barely feels like telling a story, as it just shoves you from town to town, and most of the time I don't even feel motivated to save the damn world.
You two are the only people that can help us. We need you to go on a mission to save the world! No.
The characters aren't well characterized, or very memorable. They do interact a little, and I suppose you could argue that they changed over the course of the game, but I couldn't feel attached to them because they weren't compelling to me at all. Now the tricky thing about an RPG is that it can have a lackluster story if the premise and gameplay can make up for it. A good example of that is Secret of Evermore. So does the gameplay in Lufia hold out? Are you blind? If you are, then I am sorry. If you are not, then I should slap you in the head for asking that. The game does not offer anything new and settles for just reusing tired concepts. The first Lufia game does not have original or fun gameplay. It feels like a chore. The battle system has barely evolved from the Dragon Quest days. You get your basic battle features here, and that's all. Attack, magic items, the works. So although it isn't anything special, fans of old school RPGs will probably still enjoy this type of battling. Although I didn't really take an issue with the simplicity of the battles, this game requires a lot of grinding, but not in a rewarding way, like Persona 4, but more of a let's watch paint dry kind of way. But some people like that, for some freakish reason. The quirk of the system that was kinda annoying was how you couldn't target a single enemy, but the whole group, which threw off my plans some of the time, and just didn't make much sense. You can also see that the battles are all random, and clearly old school. They're nothing awesome, but nothing game-breaking. However, the bane of my very existence exists in this battle system. When you kill an enemy, and another character was set to attack them, they swat at the air. This garbage must be named. I officially call this air balls. I can't believe they would put this in a 1993 RPG. Seeing it in a NES RPG, maybe. But the Super Nintendo years after its release. This is bullshit. This is pandemonium.
This is
16-bit RPG, with inferior qualities of an 8-bit role-playing game. And quite frankly, I am not okay with this. Rar. Obviously I'm a little spoiled as a modern gamer, but nothing in Lufia is good at catching attention. The game is spent moving from town to town and collecting items and weapons. You go to churches to revive characters. You can play as 4 characters in turn-based combat. Battles are random. Remind you of Final Fantasy. Remember how well that aged? Not very well at all, because it is not an easy game to go back to and play today. Lufia 1 is limited by the same problems. The gameplay itself just feels slow, and as I said, just a chore to slow through. I had to force myself to beat this game. Now I know what you're saying. John, go easy in this game. You are being unfair, because it is old school, and it was released in 1993 when that kind of RPG gameplay was the norm. Well, yes, you are partly correct, but look at what else was released that year. Secret of Mana. Same hardware, better game. Obviously Secret of Mana had a better budget, but the point is that it is still playable today, because it was different and fun, while Lufia did not fare as well over time. In terms of graphics, once again I have to compare this game to Secret of Mana. And this is like comparing a university art student's work to my grade 2 art project.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, that's right, I was a fucking genius. Anyway, the graphics in Lufia are clear and not confusing, but they leave a little too much to the imagination. They are primitive, and once again reminiscent of the original Final Fantasy in some ways. The music does fare much better, as it carries a really upbeat and memorable soundtrack. So really no complaints here. To paraphrase what Rue once said, a simple RPG without a decent story would be just like watching a random number generator. It's ass. And that's why this game was not fun for me. There isn't an interesting narrative or witty dialogue that makes me want to keep playing. If the only thing the RPG has to make the game worthy of playing is a battle system, then it had best be a damn good one. But Lufia has a tired and unengaging battle system, so I can't recommend this game to anyone unless they're down with old school RPGs. To conclude, didn't hate this game, but I just felt that it was something that I didn't really need to play. And with so many great games out there these days to try, you shouldn't settle in something this average. Of course, I'm sure many lovers of the original Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy would love this game, but personally, I prefer something with a little more substance. I'm John Tickles, and I look forward to our next random encounter.
Oh, excellent!
This is madness!